Okay, so good afternoon, and thank you for having me here. Thank you, Scott. And well, I would like to share with you some of my current life. This is my computer screen right now, so it's basically broken. So it's been a little difficult to do some things. So that in some way limited the presentation, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so my name is Diego Leal. I'm from Colombia. That's Colombia with an O. Colombia with an U is British Columbia. That's where we are right now. In case you're wondering, we're right here right now. This is the Vancouver area, and Colombia is right here at the top corner of South America, between the Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about something that the Ministry of Education of Colombia with an O has been doing since 2007. It's something that we call EduCamp. It's what's written on my teacher, and that's something that we've been using. It's based on conferences, on conferences and open educational resources, and we're using it to enable professional development. And that initiative is going viral, mildly viral, but viral nonetheless. So that's the title of my presentation, and I'm going to talk to you about 6 things. First one, possibility. I want to give you a context of the things that we're doing with this initiative that I'm going to talk to you about, for you to understand where do we come from, how do we get here. So the Ministry of Education of Colombia in 2002, when the current minister started her job, took an interest in fostering the development of information communication technologies in all levels of education. So in 2003, we started at the Vice Ministry of Higher Education a project called New Technologies and Methodologies Used for Higher Education. Okay? So it was a small project. There were 3 areas of work there: access to quality contents. The second one, strengthening of use and appropriation capacities. And the third one, access to technological infrastructure. Some of the things that we did there in access to quality contents, most of the work were based on the Colombia Aprende Educational Portal, which has information spaces for researchers, students, and teachers and administrators. And some of the work we did there had to do also with learning objects. So right now we have a national repository, National Learning Object Repository, that is harvesting metadata from different institutional repositories placed in higher education institutions. We have 13 of them right now. Here are just 10 of them, I think. And that's part of the thing we've been doing on the area content. On the strengthening of use and appropriation capacity for institutions, we work in several areas. First one, we did a couple of workshops to help in some way to get administrators' qualification. So we got in touch with several partners, institutions from different countries, and we got some workshops started for administrators. But if we're working with administrators, we wanted to do something else, something too with teachers. And so we did a little bit of teacher training. This is some of the results that we have for the 2005 and 2006, for 2005-2006. The size of the bubbles represents the amount of teachers in each area of the country. That big bubble in the middle of the country corresponds to Bogota. Bogota is the capital of the country and has most of the higher education institutions in the country. So that's the reason why the bubbles are that big. We started also a virtual network for tutors. So the idea was, we're doing this teacher training. How can we get them to get into some kind of permanent professional development? So we started with the community that, in a way, was inspiring the job of Sylvia Curie at Scope. And this is what it looks like. So we have their discussion forums, and we have study groups, and we have special interest groups, and resources, and educational resources. We did a couple of baseline studies just to get a broad view of where were we as a country on the area of e-learning. And we did a couple of international seminars. In the access to technological infrastructure, we cannot do that. We do that much because institutions in our country have autonomy to make decisions about their own infrastructure policies. So what we did instead was, with the help of other organizations, to help create and develop the National Research and Education Network, which is connected to Internet 2 and to GIANT in Europe. So in 2007, something changed. As maybe some of you know, in 2006, Álvaro Uribe, our current president, was elected for a second term. So we had the opportunity to keep doing the things we were doing. That was one in a lifetime opportunity, I would say. And but we had to rethink a little bit the things that we were doing. So we were working on a three-component project, and now we start to talk about the national program on ICT use in education, for basic and secondary education, for higher education. And we have the components change a little bit. So now we have use and appropriation of ICT, professional development, content management, and technological infrastructure management. I'm not going to stop and talk about all the things that we've been doing with those things. I just wanted to point out that these four axes were developing coordinated actions and were joined by two more components, one of supporting technical assistance and the other one of evaluation monitoring. I'm going to focus on this one, the use and appropriation of ICT component, because there was a strong intention to do appropriation for emerging technologies. Okay, so what's the point with all this? I'm taking like 5 minutes talking about this, but the idea is that before 2007, there was no possibility that this thing that I'm talking about could have happened. So that's what I would like to point out. It's a result of something that is maturing, that is evolving, that is growing, and it started with one of our international seminars. In 2006, we did this seminar called E-Learning Quality, State-of-the-Art and Perspectives, and we were very lucky to bring a bunch of great people to Colombia. So we had Virginie Aymar, she's from France, Ulf Ehlers, he's from Germany, and we had also Nancy White and Jay Cross. And one afternoon, Nancy was telling us about something that happened with her during the conference. So she mentioned that it was over-the-shoulder learning. What was that? She said, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm writing, I'm reporting the conference, I'm twittering, and this guy asked her, what are you doing? What's that you're using? And she says, okay, this is what I'm doing. And she shows him what she's doing, and he starts to work with that. I think it was Twitter, if my memory is good enough. And then his wife, this woman, asks him, what are you doing? So he shows her what he's doing, what Nancy told him, and she starts to do her own thing. So Nancy was talking, was kind of interested in that thing. She called it over-the-shoulder learning. So there was the start of interesting conversation. How could we enhance over-the-shoulder learning? How could we do that? So one afternoon, Saturday afternoon, we were walking around Bogota, doing some sightseeing, and Nancy was here in front of a clothing store, and Jay having one of our fruit salads. And we started to talk about what if. What if we could bring together people and do some over-the-shoulder learning, but in a bigger scale? How could that work? So that led us to the second part, the experiment. So in the next month, I started to think and to read about different approaches to conferences. Like, I don't know, Pecha, but it's not exactly a conference, but different approaches to share information between large amounts of people in a very, very effective way. So I read a little bit about Pecha, I read a little bit about bar camps, I got to know a little bit about open space technology, about the work cafe also, and even something called speed geeking, that maybe you're aware of or not. And after all that, I realized something. I remember, okay, I'm working on this area, okay? Use and appropriation of ICT, and we're supposed to do appropriation of emerging technologies. So I would like to do a conference to try and support over-the-shoulder learning. How do I sell that? Because I had to sell it to my bosses, okay? And this will be something that the Ministry of Education will be paying for. So I realized a few things. First, that it will be very difficult to sell this as a conference because it was a very, very strange term at the time in our country. So there isn't even, at the time there wasn't a defined term for unconference in Spanish. So I decided that it had to be a workshop aimed at higher education teachers because that was the area that I was in. And it had to do with Web 2.0 applications. Why Web 2.0 applications? Because we're talking about emerging technologies. And because that was something that could bring people together. Something interesting enough that we haven't done before, and that could get a lot of people together. So there were something else, one more part of the carrot, so to speak, that it was to have an international guest. There is, I need to say, there's some cultural issue there that we answer very well to having an international guest. So we started to think about that, and I think that that was like the like the package of the whole thing. But inside the workshop will be several ideas. First, it has to do with learning and teaching. It could be technology for its own sake. Second thing, I'd like to explore a little bit more some concepts that appear in our seminar. The first one is Learning 2.0, the second one, connectivism, and the third one, personal learning environments. So that was the whole framework, the broad framework. I was lucky enough to have Stephen Downs come to Colombia to join us in this adventure. And the question was, how do we do this? Okay, so we started with a few ideas. First, we were trying to work with over-the-shoulder learning. So everyone will have a laptop. That was, again, everyone in the room will have a laptop. So we will go as big as the amount of laptops that we have at any given moment. Second, everyone will get a teacher like this. Why? Because we wanted people to tag themselves. Okay? So I'm gonna come back to this tagging thing later. We created this sheet of paper, this paper sheet, with information about different categories of tools, of Web 2.0 tools, and some links and some descriptions. This was something that we will give everyone in the room. And they had to do with that, they have to identify the things they know. They had to tag themselves, identify the things they know, meaning draw your personal learning environment. They have to tag themselves, okay, and they have to identify what they would like to know based on this sheet of paper. So they will work in grow and enhance their PLE. And this is what it looks like. But yesterday, about 10 a.m., I got my passports with my visas. So yesterday at 10 a.m., I wasn't sure that I was coming. So I tried to recreate what we were doing with this presentation, but given that I came, I want to do a live demo, okay? So I'm gonna give you these labels, and please, all you have pens or something like that, right? So please write to, everyone knows each other here? Good. So please write a couple of things that you would like to talk about. Okay? It doesn't have to be anything personal or very serious. Whatever you want to talk about, that you would like to talk to someone else about. Here. There you go. It cannot be your name, okay? So it has to be something more than your name. So here's the deal. You have 1 minute to write those things. And then you're going to tag yourselves. What does it mean? You're going to fill this label and you're going to put it on your shirt. Okay? This is tagging, right? You're tagging yourself. With what? With the thing you would like to talk about. But the thing that we're going to do is just what we do at a workshop of one of these workshops, but with computers. Okay? So, are you ready? So you have 1 minute, and I'm sorry, but we don't have enough time, so I'm gonna take your time. So please, 2 things that you would like to talk about. Time is running.
Definitely participate.
30 seconds.
I just touched my ears, thought that was funny, but.
You ready?
Now it's not funny anymore.
We only have 5 minutes for this. Ready? So you don't have any very, very expensive code or something like that, please tag yourself. Okay, so that's 1 minute. What we're going to do now, we're going to leave the computers aside for a minute, and I'm going to play music, right? We're going to have 2-minute sessions. What are you going to do? You're going to stand up, and you're going to find a partner across the room, someone that you haven't talked about, someone that you haven't talked with before, okay? And you're going to try and ask that person about one of the things that it's written on his or her label, okay? And you have 2 minutes to exchange information. At the 2 minutes, I will bring up the volume of the music, and you're gonna find a new partner. And in 5 minutes, you will be talking with two more people that you didn't know before. So go ahead, please stand up, get ready.
Questions or things we're interested in?
Please, it's important that you stand up. Please stand up.
You just mentioned personal learning environments. And I'm interested in that because I work with teachers who service and channels. It's something that they want to explore. They sort of personal learning environments because of the students, because of Facebook, organizations like that. And teachers want to be online, but they're not sure exactly how and what's allowed, what isn't. Web-based places where you collect information that's of interest to us as a professional. What about the cost that's attractive? What's the story?
Well, the story was standards Thank you.
So we can talk about this. Come to my talk. No.
And I work with freelance service teachers so that they can share their expertise and their experience with anybody the way that they
You're on a project
Sorry to interrupt, but the 2 minutes are over. That's it.
I have to go sit here. that's why I was drawn to that. You're sitting at a computer that looks official.
That's it, eh?
This is good as an icebreaker. That's it. You can see it if you want right now. So what's the idea? Everyone has laptops, as I was saying. So I have tags on my t-shirt, and I'm going around the room trying to find something that has on his shirt something that I would like to know about. So for this case, she has Blogger. I want to know about Blogger. So we will sit together. We will exchange information. She will show me how to use Blogger, and I will get to know how to use Blogger. But there is no expert here, okay? I have to find someone else in the room that can help me. There is no the expert that's going to teach me about all of these tools. Once I know about that, I will write in one label the name of the tool, and I will tag myself with that and keep going, keep around the room. So that's what we do with computers. And here are some images of the things that we got. This is Bogota, the first workshop that we had. It looked like this at the beginning. As you can see, there were very ordered rows, and these were people here in the conference, the Kickstart conference by Stephen Downs, and there was something that wasn't supposed to fail, but it did. For this to work, we need connectivity. We need to have internet access for all the 100 people that were in the room at that time, and it failed. At 10 a.m. it was down. So that was a challenge, and people were very supportive in a way. There were a few computers that were online, so they would sit on the ground, they would gather together, and they would work trying to learn about these tools. Then we went to have lunch. We give lunch at all these events just for have the people in the same place. If we don't give the lunch, people will go and we will never get them back. So in the afternoon, the network was better, but we changed our approach. We did some tool stations, so to speak. So there were people with red shirts, like you see here, like you see them there. They were part of the support team, okay? And they were in charge of showing the different people around the room one specific tool. It was very interesting because with all these native immigrant categories, these were very young people, boys and girls, and you would say they know about the tools, but they will know about Facebook, and that was it. That was very interesting because for me it was like a wake-up call in a way. So you can see the people with the tags on their backs, and in the afternoon we asked people to talk a little bit, to get together in a conference format and talk about possibilities and difficulties of the use of these tools. These were all teachers. They will be using this in the classroom, so we wanted them to talk about the possibilities and the difficulties that they could meet. We will use this kind of thing. So people will come with a paper, and they will write what they want to talk about. And people will gather in tables, and they will talk about for a little bit, and then we will share the information with the group. That was Bogota. Medellin was, in my mind, like the perfect workshop. Everything worked great. I had the chance to put together a presentation with different tools. So this was on the background, running all the time. So that opened a new possibility. If I want to learn with someone, I can do it. If I want to learn on my own, I can do it. You have the tool sheet, and you have this presentation. If you want to learn with a group, you have these support guys that can help you to learn a group. So it looked like this. It was very unstructured. It was by chance that we organized the room, but it was very, very good. Because when people got there, they were like, oh, where am I going to sit? This is in disorder. This is not your usual workshop. So, well, this is like the conference setting. But then people got to work the same way they did in Bogota. Nothing went wrong this time. The connectivity was great. So there was a very, very good feeling. We were transmitting to Ustream all the time. there was a lot of demonstration. We wanted teachers to see that this can be used, that you don't need to pay or to have expensive equipment to do these kind of things. And we have these TVs where we were showing what was happening on the room. Some very interesting things happened. I was twittering about the Stephen Downes conference, and Brian Alexander answered on Twitter. So I told him, would you be interested to join me for a little bit in the Skype conversation? And he said, okay. So out of the blue, we had Brian Alexander on screen talking with us, talking with my class, he said, in Medellin. That was very interesting in the way of demonstrating things, or demonstrating that if you're online, strange and magic things can happen. You don't know who's coming, who's watching, in a way. In the afternoon, we got to talk a little bit about discussion about the possibilities of these tools. So, you can see here these footprints, these yellow footprints. We had 10 tables around the auditorium. We had footprints that showed people where they were supposed to go, and we divided the group in small groups. Every 5 minutes, the music will go up, and they will change her table. Each table was a tool, and their whole mission was to give ideas about how to use these tools. At the end of 1 hour, all of them will have traveled around the 10 tables, and there were these guys with the red shirt that will take notes and will leave everything that we're saying written in a wiki. So then we had the conversation about the possibilities, about the difficulties, the same thing that Bogota, and they wrote a lot of things, they shared with everyone, and that was it. This woman, I put it there because I think it's very interesting what she said. She, at the beginning of the session, she was very, very intimidated about the whole thing. She was like, I don't know about any of these tools. Does this work for me? I told her, go ahead and try it. So she ended up collecting labels, and at the end of the session, she recorded a video on Ustream. We had someone with a webcam recording around the room, and she would say, I never thought that I could learn that much. I always thought that to learn these tools I would need a lot of time, a lot of investment, a lot of money, but I learned a lot. I never thought I could learn that much in so little time. So that was very, very impressive to me, to hear that, because, I don't know, it's counterintuitive with the way we do professional development. We usually do professional development. We think about courses, we think about the structure, and maybe what we were discovering was that maybe to have unstructured makes sense. So we even had a time to take a group picture, and there were a few explicit messages in the presentation that we used. First one, that it's important to share with others. Second one, that they should be ready to share with the world. Third one, that that we're all learners. There is no experts here. We all know a little bit about something, so we can share that with others. For some people, these kind of images were very, very had an important impact. No one is tourist. There was no use for people sitting there isolated, not doing something. We try to engage a lot of people, question everything. Don't think that what I'm saying or what you're learning makes sense. Think about it and question it. And openness. Openness about sharing with others, openness about giving information and getting information from other people. And something else, explore everything you can, but use only what you need. And something that I think it was Stephen who told me there, that whatever happens is the only thing that could have happened. And that was a huge relief, because usually you have this pressure to get the curriculum, all the curriculum on time. But we gave that responsibility to the whole group. What happens here is what you want to happen. If you're sleepy, there's nothing I can do about it. If you're willing to learn, great, we're here to help you. So that was, there was a few hidden messages. The first one about demonstration. We were trying to demonstrate the things that we were talking about. It wasn't just discourse. The importance of structure, and finally that bad things can happen, and it's important to handle them, to improvise if necessary. And third thing, going bigger. So now it's 2008. The first workshop were in 2007. And we now go bigger. In October, something like that, the Ministry of Education decided that they wanted to do 7 workshops. The first one were in Medellin, in Bogota. We had 217 teachers. And in 2008, we were supposed to do all these 5 more cities in 2 weeks. So it's not a big country, but it was very demanding. It meant setting all the things in the different places, in the different cities, having people go there to work as support groups and that kind of thing. So we decided that we couldn't do it alone. And we find that the workshop was in fact divided in 3 parts. The first one, identify your PLE. Draw your PLE, identify what are the ways that you're learning, what are the people that you're learning with, work with that as a concept. Second thing, expand your PLE with the help of other people and the help of the resources that we were creating. And third one, talk about it and create something. The part of the different approaches to conferences were very useful about this part of talk about it. And we had, once again, international guests. The first one was Alejandro Pichitelli. He's from Argentina. And he talked a little bit about the knowledge society and the technology and that kind of things. And the second one was Scott Leslie. And he talked not a little bit, a lot about personal learning environments, which was great.
Nice photos.
I think it's good. And so, like I was saying, we decided that we couldn't do it alone. So what did we do? We brought different people from different cities in the country, and we sat together one day before the first EduCamp to work as a team. I was in charge of coaching them. So we were discussing all the things, and they ended up being the facilitators of their own workshops in their cities. So that was our growth strategy. And we updated this sheet. We create a more formal, in a way, personal learning environment diagram for the people. And we updated the presentations. We had enough time to update the presentation, to publish all of them in a SlideShare, and to get everything together in a wiki. Okay, so there were all the materials for all the different workshops. And we started with that. This is one guy that you saw before. He was a participant, now he became a facilitator. This is Monteria. You can see here the different approaches to space. You see here that the furniture changed. Now it's white, now it's very comfortable. It's still in structure. This is Cartagena, a lot of space, a very, very good place to work, in fact. People will do things like this, sit on the floor and work with each other. There were people demonstrating things on the TVs, but it was good. But it has as a consequence that some of them will go back to take notes and not bring their laptops.
I just want to look. Workshops are notoriously, they have a notorious reputation for basically being a junket for people to go to, but then nothing happens afterwards. So, have you kept any sort of statistics or like a qualitative follow-up to actually see if there's been a significant change in these users' behaviors in terms of actually using this stuff?
I'm going there. But I have to say, for starters, that we know that we could use a lot more of information about that. We know that. So this is Bucaramanga. This is one of the workshops that Scott was at. Once again, people working with each other, very small space. There were very different things here, and this is Medellin, and things like this. People initially will tag themselves. with the tools that we were suggesting, and then one of these kids got to say, I'm into World of Warcraft, level 80, so if anyone is interested in that, talk to me.
Yeah, and just to comment, Randy, I know this doesn't speak to the long-term effectiveness that you're asking about, but my experience having been at these workshops that Diego was running, I've never been at a set of workshops for professional educators in Canada where at 6 p.m., so 2 hours after the event was supposed to be over, we had to kick people out, like 100 people out, because they were still all sitting there jamming away on this stuff. So in terms of the invigoration of the crowd and people working together, at least to that extent I can attest to this was something quite special.
And there was something else there, and it's this part, going viral. It's mildly viral, like I was saying, but there was something interesting. Because of the resources we published, we never really talk about open educational resources with that words of talk too much about licenses. But we made sure that everything was published with an open license, with Creative Commons, with Creative Commons licenses. So the idea was that anyone could use those materials, and we told them that. And this is what happened. There have been, this is around 10 different workshops in institutions, in different higher education institutions. There has been no incentive at all. People have taken these materials and they have gone to the institutions and they have run their own workshops on their own. They have sometimes come to us to say, oh, hey, can I use this? Can you help us with this or that thing? And we have done as far as we can, as we have done what we have done as much as possible to help them. But the thing is that there is no incentive, and again, I might dare to say this, that we have, in my experience at the Ministry of Education, usually if you don't have an incentive, people won't do these kind of things. So it's very unexpected for us to see people doing it on their own. This is one of the settings. This is FIT University in Medellin. As you can see, it's very different, and that's one thing that we are trying to consider. When teachers leave the edu camp and they go back to their institutions, they will find these kind of fixed spaces. So what do we do with that? And once again, we have to be creative, and these laptops were tied to the tables. So it wasn't that easy to go around, but what you can do is you can travel with your ideas. And you leave the laptop, but you go with your ideas around. And there were a lot of discussions, there were very interesting discussions. We even had a couple of Illuminate sessions to talk about some experiences of different universities. This is something that we just started, well, I started out of nowhere, because this year we had no budget assigned to this in the beginning. And this was like voluntary work. Everything has been voluntary in a way when things started to go viral. We created an in space, so these people interested in being facilitator will come around. And one of the things discussed there was someone coming to say, does it make sense to think about educamp rooms, about physical spaces that we could devote to this kind of methodology? And well, I would say that's very, very, I'm not sure if that's the way to go, but the things that these kind of questions were in the mind of the people participating there. And there are different stories. For example, this guy, you remember him, first was a participant, then was a facilitator, and he used to say to me that the first year he was listening about Twitter, he was hearing about Twitter and other tools, and he was like, what's with this? This doesn't make sense. 1 year later, he realized when he became a facilitator the importance and the possibility of these tools. So it was very, very interesting to hear his story. There are people, I have a few recollection of people who has talked to us about going out of the workshop to start their own blogs, to start to use, for example, blogs with their students. Like I was saying, they will go to their institutions, they will do their own thing, and that their own thing will be tied to their institutional initiatives. And well, like I was saying, there are a lot of different stories, but we know that we could use more information about this. New beginnings. This year we did another EduCamp. It was for the Ministry of Education staff. And these are Ministry of Education staff, all of them. These are people that are not teachers. So, and their relation with these tools is very, very, they're not very related to it. So this was the first time for a lot of things. We used for the first time TED Talks here, and we tried to make visible the network, the running network that was operating in that group. And we had a very, very great discussion about what was the meaning, what was the impact of using these tools in their organizational setting. So, a lot of questions. First, we have different questions to try and motivate discussion. There's a question here about, is this useful in organizational settings? We are not sure, it looks like this. And something else is that each year the Ministry of Education has a national forum. This year is about innovation and competitiveness, and we're going to do 2 workshops in October for 200 people each. It will be the first time that we will have 200 people in one place. It's a huge place, not like the auditoriums we used to have. It's we don't know how it's going to be. I'm not sure how it's going to be, but we're willing to try that. And the good, the bad, and the ugly. Some ideas to close. First, the good. It's flexible. This is very, very flexible. I think that has to do with the growing that this kind of work has had. The adaptability is everyone, each person can tie it to its own needs. Looks like it works so far. There are a lot of things to do, of course. It's a good complement to additional professional development opportunities that the Ministry of Education has in place. And there's room for improvement. All the time we're trying to test new ideas, to wonder what if we can do it better? How can we do this better? And unstructured can be good. I would say that's one of my biggest lessons. The bad, it's not easy to find good spaces to do this. Your usual classroom with fixed chairs and that kind of things is not very helpful for this. So that's something difficult that we're finding. These are the way that institutions, most classrooms are in our institutions. What do we do about that? How do we take that in account? It's very demanding. It takes a lot of time and resources to do this the way I'm showing it. People at the universities have done the smaller things. It may be a little intimidating for some people, like I was saying before, and maybe it needs more coaching. It's to me, I'm just learning how to do these kind of things, and I've been just through 9-10 EduCamps of this, and well, I'm not sure that I can be a coach. I don't know enough. So I wonder if we could if we could develop the skills of more people here. And the ugly, it's expensive. For our country, it's still expensive. Each one of these workshops is around $35,000–$40,000. There's the cost of rent the machines, the laptops, is very high. Not everyone in our country has a laptop, as maybe happens elsewhere. And connectivity is still expensive. So that's something that is not that helpful. We need more feedback, definitely. We need to know more about the things that people are doing with this. And some follow-up, definitely. We know about that, and that's something we have to improve in some way. There's a loose sense of community here. I'm not sure if that's ugly, or if that's bad, or if it's just okay. And so far it's Spanish only. That's something difficult because a lot of material on this area is in English. So we have been heavy users of .sub. I have translated different videos to try and help people to get in touch with these ideas. Something else that bothers me is that maybe the conceptual background that it's in all this is not that visible. And I'm not sure if there is a message, if there is a real message about the real possibilities of these tools and the way it can transform our behavior, to use the words that someone was using. So maybe there's a need for evaluation, trying to evaluate what's the impact of this, but we're not really sure about how to do that. It's not easy to evaluate the impact of one day of work, the workshop takes one day, in the practices of people, because people are not exposed only to that one thing. So it's not easy. So that's it. That's one of the things that's the EduCamp Colombia initiative. That's one of the things that the Minister of Education of Colombia, with an O, is doing. And well, I'll be really happy to answer any questions or to talk with you later or whatever. Thank you very much for listening. And sorry about my English, maybe a little confusing sometimes. Thank you.
So do we have any questions for Diego? I think we have about 10 minutes left.
I just wanted to clarify some concept.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a little bit at the beginning it was like speed dating, run around the room and find out what tools are there, and then later you gravitated to the people that could maybe teach you about a particular tool.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But we were very tied in a way to the labels. The labels were the signs to look for, the things that I need to learn and
Right.
where they are in the room.
Diego,
I'm just gonna, it's not really a question, but you were mentioning that these things are sometimes hard to do when there aren't any incentives, but, well, so
Sorry.
you were talking about the issue of having incentives,
Yeah.
but, you know, the question is, does the incentive have to be financial? And there are a lot of other incentives, social and for other reasons,
Yeah.
that people are
Yeah.
doing this.
Absolutely. I would say that's a discussion, that's an ongoing discussion, because for some people at the ministry, there's this strong feeling that incentives have to be financial,
Yeah.
but I think this is a clear example that it not necessarily. We can do different things, and we can get people to work as volunteers. So, absolutely, you're right.
I have a question. I'm just interested, and I don't know if you kept this model throughout the other ones, but while I was there, you had, it seemed like there was this model in the morning, people were sort of getting an introduction to the tool and meet each other, but in the afternoon there was more of a focus on some of the uses that they would put it and they actually produce a result. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Because that struck me as interesting, that it wasn't just tool training, but actually educators talking about the pedagogical uses that they could put
Yeah,
these tools.
yeah. I would say those were the three parts that we tried to focus the 2008 workshops. The first one was, the first and the second one, identify your POD and grow or enhance your POD, has to do with tools. But in the afternoon, it's about talking and talking about how do we use this. It's not only sit here and try to get as much tools as you can and get accounts in every service possible. No, there was a lot of exploration, but in the afternoon there was a lot of talking, a lot of discussion about the issues that they could find in the classroom, in their institutions. What were the institutional obstacles, in a way, to use these kind of things? What were the real possibilities? And it worked as well for the Ministry of Education workshop.
Yeah, and the thing that really struck me, and you can tell me if I got this wrong, but it seemed like you were asking the instructors in talking about these issues to actually produce an artifact using the very tool that they had been talking about, the pedagogical uses, to actually produce something, sort of a reflexive act. So like in talking about the uses, actually be using, whether it was delicious or one of these other ones, to do that commentary. Is that right?
Yeah. The first year we worked mostly on getting ideas from people. But when we have a lot of ideas, what do? We keep adding ideas, or we do something else. So last year, for the final workshop, we decided to ask people to create something with all those ideas. So the message was, go back to this wiki. There you can find ideas from teachers all around the country, teachers that were here in this same workshop, and use those ideas to create something that is an example of the way you can use these kind of tools. I think that helps to ground the discussion. It's not about, I'm learning this just in case, but I'm learning this and this is the way I can use it. So yeah, that's right. I think it was important that the creation part of that.
You mentioned that you are starting to track what the impact of these experiences is on teachers. Can you go over again what sorts of things you're doing?
Well,
Discover and have it.
there's something. I mean, I have to be completely honest
Yeah.
about what we are doing, what we are not doing. We did the workshops, but unfortunately, there hasn't been that nor time nor money available to do a structure and formal follow-up, so to speak. But what did I do? I tried to, for example, lead these Illuminate sessions, these online Illuminate sessions, to try and get together people that were in the workshops. We were trying to get people to talk a little bit more and get into the NIM community to talk about what they were doing. Something strange happened this year because out of the blue there were like 100 teachers coming into the wiki to be members of the wiki, and this is, I have to say, right now I'm not sure where do they came from. I just don't know. But they were there and they were starting to work in the wiki. So the thing is, I'm trying to do some follow-up to this,
Right.
but it's, like I was saying, it's not really clear how can we measure, maybe that's a word, maybe not, I'm not sure, the impact of the workshops. We know it's a good starting point. This is what people in the workshop and after the workshop have tell us. I think it's very significant that they are doing their own workshops. So that means there's something going on there. But, well,
Yeah, no,
I'm
just
still
curious
trying to
'cause
think about how
such
can we do that.
It's such a great idea. I was thinking of stealing it. So I was wondering how you were going to
Go ahead. Please go ahead and improve it.
And so I hate to